You've got someone coming in that has been long awaited. This feels like someone you have not connected with in the physical yet, but you may be very familiar with this person energetically. They have likely been coming through in dreams. You've been connecting with them in meditation. This may even be something that is an energy you have been familiar with since you were a child, or since like early on in your spiritual journey, in your ascension journey. A series of karmic cycles that you and this individual needed to close out in order to prepare yourselves for one another. Like a certain checklist of things that in this incarnation you set out to accomplish or to achieve or to experience or to, kind of move through in terms of the completion of like outdated karmic contracts, outdated karmic cycles, and sort of closing those things out. I'm hearing closing out the books. So yeah, this is something that may have to do, with kind of like finding your direction in life. So that can be, like you needed to reach a certain point in terms of like figuring out a career and sort of making progress towards that in order for energies to be sort of aligned within you and within them, where you had enough stability, balance, grounding, certainty, or even if you're still like working towards some of those goals, that you're very determined, like this is the path forward, this is what I need to do, the steps I need to continue to take to reach that goal and destination, which it feels like has freed something up in your vibration. And correspondingly within this person's vibration, where now the doors of love are ready to open for the two of you. It's possible that this person, for some of you, like you've just encountered this person, or you're going to encounter this person, like within the next 30 days, it'll be that first meeting. And it's coming through like within this lifetime. So that could definitely be like a past life connection, or more of like, they feel very like familiar energetically speaking, but you're meeting in the physical realm, like face to face for the first time, or maybe this is someone you meet online and you're connecting with them in that sense for the first time. But for a lot of you, it feels like this is somebody that you're still only connecting with, you're tapped into, you're in alignment with in those kind of higher realms. But there's a sense of, again, like karmic cycles that needed to be closed out for you and for this person, that now there's a lot of space that's been cleared up energetically, or certain chapters, again, that idea of like closing the book. So you've closed certain chapters, you've closed the book on certain experiences with particular individuals, maybe even like a mindset or a version of yourself that was seeking partnership with others. It feels like based on a place of like wounding, toxicity, kind of like lower vibrational patterns. You were either calling that in through other people, or it mirrored, or, was kind of a reflection of something unhealed within yourself. You and this person have each gone through your experiences in terms of like personal growth and evolution, to where you've broken free of those previous cycles. You've stepped into new energy. You've stepped into a new version of yourself. You've shed the past, and it's like this version of you in the here and now, and also like this version of them in the here and now. You're ready to align. I'm hearing Cupid's arrows. So Valentine's Day may be significant for this. These are all timeless readings on my channel, so just whenever you come across them, take the messages as they resonate. But at the time I'm recording this, we're about 2 weeks away from Valentine's Day. So this may be somebody that you meet around Valentine's Day, especially if you're single and you're like, well, I don't have anyone to go do anything with. Maybe you're going out with friends, or you're just choosing to not like celebrate or acknowledge that day, or you're celebrating yourself. And this can be somebody that you encounter in the course of that process, like whatever that involves. This is also somebody that you're in that single energy. This person is single as well. So it's kind of like Cupid's arrow, like a matchmaker, the universe operating as a matchmaker, not even just that like, oh, these two people would be really good with one another, but it feels like something that you have been making your way towards this person, and they've been making their way towards you, like for your whole life. This incarnation speaks to like a destined partnership, a fated meeting with this individual. For a lot of you, this is that forever person. This is that future spouse. This is the one you've been waiting for. For others, it feels like this will be a significant person that is kind of an initiation along a new path of romance. They show you a different experience of love and romance than you've known before, where it feels like it's going to be something that you're going to acknowledge, like, the hard work that I did within myself to heal, to move beyond certain cycles. It hasn't just been of like benefit, like I feel better, I'm able to kind of like move past the past, or create peace for myself in situations where you never got that closure with other people. But it's something that really like signals to you, like, yeah, I've stepped into a new chapter, into a new era, into a new epoch of my life, and I am now putting out a different signal that is calling in different individuals. Or I've matured and kind of learned certain lessons enough that I know to avoid red flags when I see them, and to allow myself to lean into the experience of like green light connections. Because for some of you, you might have been in an experience that feels like, if it's coming up, because it feels like it's a very mirrored energy with you and this person. So they may have been working through something as well of kind of like worthiness wounds, and sort of like almost the idea of once bitten, twice shy, where like you get hurt in love, or you get your expectations kind of obliterated so many times, and we naturally kind of put our guard up, we put our wall up. It's a fine line between like discernment and being, hyper vigilant. And so it feels like you and this individual have both been kind of like working to separate yourselves from hurts of the past, to allow yourselves to trust in the power of like new beginnings, in the form of you're not just trapped within this experience of like calling in the same types of people, the same types of wounding, the same types of disappointment, like over and over and over again. So this is something that matches that experience of like, yeah, I know what to avoid, but I also know what to allow myself to participate with. I know what to question, and I know what to trust. And so, yeah, this feels like something that is, again, somebody that you have, if this is somebody you've already met, you've met them like in the last 30 days. This is something very new. You may not have even really talked to this person, like met them in terms of you've had that eye contact, you've seen them, you've noticed them, and it feels like it would be something mutual. This isn't like secret admirer energy. This is kind of like familiar stranger in the room, or maybe there's been a little bit of dialogue or exchange, or if it's someone if it's like starting to get to know someone, especially if it's like an online connection, there's been very little as far as like big communication. There may have been a couple words exchanged back and forth. It could be somebody new that's like following your social media account, you're following their social media account, something where it's like you're in the vicinity of one another's presence, but there's not really been anything that is very direct, very personal, because it feels like this is you're moving into that experience, like you're in the midst of it, and it's kind of like it's happening like every day. It materializes more and more. And for the vast majority of you though, it feels like this is somebody that is like, they are actively taking steps forward in their life in general, just like you are actively taking steps forward in your life in general. And it's kind of like every day you're getting closer and closer to that intersection point where this new experience begins. This is not somebody that is like years out on the horizon, or kind of like within the next decade they'll come in. Like this energy is like very close within proximity to wherever you are at in your life right now. And again, it's something that it feels like it doesn't bring in the same nature of challenge that you've experienced before. This is not something that is reflective of like a test from the universe. It's gonna feel different. It feels like you're gonna know pretty quickly. It may not be that initial kind of spark or like love at first sight, but it's the kind of thing of where it's like, yeah, I'm knowing very kind of progressively, very gradually, very consistently, and for this person as well, that like, yeah, this feels right. This feels different. This feels like what I have been looking for. So we have the Six of Cups, and to me this is speaking of definitely like a past life connection. This can be a circumstance where you either had like a very short relationship in a past lifetime. It feels like the relationship would have been cut short for some reason, any number of reasons. So this is almost like a second chance to have a different experience with one another than was the case before. For some of you, this would have been like a past life experience where someone kind of like, you know, for the rest of their life, they regretted not taking a chance on this, and kind of a lingering sort of memory, or like the idea of regret is coming through, that sat with this person is like, I prioritized other things, or, you know, I was afraid of love, or there were challenges, and I felt thwarted by those things, and I didn't fight for this connection. And so it was always that question of what if. What might that have been like to love that person? What might that have been like to build a life with that person? What might that have been like to allow myself to receive the experience that that person was offering? And so in this incarnation, there's this opportunity for the two of you to have that exploration in the material sense, which it feels like is why you're kind of like, you're connecting with this person energetically. They've been coming through in dreams. You've been connecting with their higher self through meditation. There's going to be a lot of that same familiarity for them as well. It feels like with that Six of Cups, there's a sense of like, you feel so familiar. You know, it feels like I've met you somewhere before. This can be something that it feels like unfolds very gradually. This recognition and this awareness, very likely it's something that, you know, you may get very in depth about the way you talk about this, or it may just be something that is mentioned that can be, you know, kind of that confirmation for you, is something that wouldn't be like a cheesy pickup line, you know, or something where a person would like try to pretend to be spiritual, but it's just like a game that they're playing. This would be something that would be mentioned kind of like after you've gotten to know one another, or after a relationship has developed with one another, where like very seriously this person would be like, you feel so familiar to me. I didn't believe in past lives before, but now I'm starting to question that. I know that we've come together for a reason. I know this is not the first time I've met you, even though it's the first time that we're meeting in the here and now. So that'll be something that is like a confirmation. It feels like for you that this fits into kind of this scenario, which again, for some of you, this is like in this incarnation, you get that chance to have that happily ever after. For others of you, it's like, it's that chance to sort of explore that question of what if that always lingered from the past incarnation. You get that answer, but then you're stepping forward into a very different kind of experience, something that speaks to, you know, calling in the themes of like loyalty and longevity, you know, almost kind of like the patience to let love blossom very naturally, as opposed to like rushing forward through things, especially with that past life energy. This is something where it feels like your soul and this person's soul have waited a very long time to have this, you know, reunion with one another, even though it's new energy in the here and now. So this is not a person from this lifetime that is like circling back around. This is someone that will be entirely new for you. You've not had a romantic experience with them yet in this lifetime, but at a soul level, it's like, yeah, we know each other. I'm hearing we're old friends. So yeah, and we have death. So more of that past life energy, a resurrection, a reunion, an opportunity to get things right for some of you, an opportunity to have more time with one another than was the case in the past, an opportunity for someone to do right by you as well romantically. So this may have even been something where this was a person that you were like married to in a past life, and they weren't the best spouse, or there were things that, you know, circumstances like their priorities were not really focused on the relationship, or, you know, the nature of the time or the culture, it's like the dynamic between husbands and wives, it was different, like the roles were different, society was different. And so this is something where this person like wants this opportunity in the here and now, like at the soul level, they want the opportunity to love you correctly, to love you in a different way, to show up for you and experience a partnership with you that transcends whatever the experience was in the past life. And especially if this is something that was just a regret that was held very close, like for the duration of, it feels like their life, they held on to a lot of regret. You might have held on to some heartbreak, or, you know, you kind of just moved forward with your life. But this person, it feels like they have been looking for you. They have been trying to connect with you. It feels like there's been at least one lifetime that has passed since you were last like in the physical with one another, and this person's soul has been like searching. The idea of wanderlust is coming in, so this may even be something where another kind of clue or indicator about this person, they could be somebody that, you know, they like have a hard time setting down roots, they've had a hard time kind of like picking a path for themselves. This may be somebody that, you know, is even very inclined to kind of explore or travel, or they've got like, you know, a beginner's mind. They're very curious, they're always searching, they're always questioning, they're always looking for something. And beyond those kind of material experiences, there's something at the soul level where it's like they've been searching for you. And for some of you, this is like they've been searching for the other half of themselves, you know, the yin to their yang or the yang to their yin. And this is the lifetime where it's like that comes together and you get that experience, you get time with one another. You get years, you get decades, you get a different sort of experience other than this kind of like held in sort of yearning. And so, yeah, this is something that goes beyond the ordinary. This is not just kind of like, oh, I met a better guy than the type that I was calling in before. Yeah, this is a better person than the people you were dealing with before. But there's something where it's almost, again, you've both kind of closed out these cycles, karmically speaking, for yourselves, like in this lifetime, that have like past life ripples. And so it's created this opportunity to have like an expansiveness energetically to really sort of soak in and saturate what that will feel like, the sense of relief at a soul level, like we've reconnected with one another, and then also materially the ways in which you're able to be very, it feels like, generous with one another, but then also really receive some of the more kind of deeper or subtle aspects of the ways in which you've kind of learned, this is how I need to be loved, and this is the type of love that I have to give in return. Yeah, we got the Ten of Pentacles. So this is like happily ever after. This is wish fulfillment. This also represents the wrapping up of a big karmic cycle in terms of that searching, in terms of alleviating some kind of weight of regret or guilt or longing that has been kind of carried around at the soul level by the two of you from almost like an unfinished symphony or something that wasn't very satisfactory in a past lifetime. You're like coming full circle with something, but it steps in a new direction. It feels like this is somebody that you will experience like an ascended type of love with. You may also really be, you know, sort of crucial for one another on your own personal ascension journeys in this lifetime individually. There may be things about the nature of how you connect, the way you're showing up in love, the things that you discuss, or even kind of like an energetic effect that you have on one another. And again, there's like an energy of mirroring that helps to really reinforce a level of peace you've sought to create for yourselves, or you've been reaching for in connection with others. And it's like you're receiving that and experiencing that, or getting that kind of confirmation that yes, this was the right choice in the here and now, which makes for a very glorious connection in the here and now. But it's also something that feels like satisfies some sort of yearning or a desire within the soul to see something through to a point of completion and embark on the beginning of that sort of step in the new direction. So this can be something that is almost like a first step for the nature of how you and the soul will choose to, you know, incarnate with one another even in lifetimes to come. We got the Knight of Cups. So it feels like this is somebody, you're not going to have to chase this person. You're not going to have to question where they stand. This is somebody that it's going to be very natural for them to, you know, align with you. This is going to be somebody where they're going to be very eager and enthusiastic to love you and to receive the love that you have to offer, which may be very, you know, again, kind of like different from the nature of what you've experienced in the past, what you've given and what you've received, and also what this person has given and has received. It feels like there's some emotional maturing that will happen through the course of the connection with one another, the experiences that you have, that you generate together, and that you kind of provide for one another. It'll enhance something for the two of you emotionally speaking. You're like growing concurrently, you're growing side by side. But this is definitely not somebody who's emotionally immature. They've done some growth, they've done some evolution, they've evolved in some sort of way. But in the course of that real-time active exchange of love with you, you know, kind of like anchoring down into the material plane, what it feels like has already been kind of happening, or you've been touching upon in the higher or subtle realms for quite some time. This is also going to be something which has a very positive effect. You're going to both really bloom in one another's presence. Yeah, and we have the Four of Pentacles. So this is the energy of loyalty, dedication. This is something where the relationship may move, relatively speaking, quickly from that kind of initial period of, the interaction, the point of contact forward. This is going to be something where this person's going to be very, it feels like, alert and very aware that you are special, you are exceptional, you are fulfilling a lot of the criteria that they've been seeking in partnership. But beyond that kind of material perspective, there's something at the soul level which is like, yeah, I've been searching for you. Like, they become very focused in ways that might even open up interesting dimensions as far as the ways in which the two of you can connect with one another romantically. For those of you that'll get into that more esoteric sort of spin on things, this can be something where there's a lot of kind of evolution and advancement in terms of connecting with a very conscious partner, or somebody that's at least open-minded enough that they're going to, feel this sort of sense of like, you feel so familiar, this feels so right. I feel almost like a heavenly experience in the material when I'm with you. Let's explore this beyond just kind of like, wow, I like who you are, this feels really good, or it fulfills kind of my egoic requirements. For some of you, this is something where it's that experience and someone that's wanting to explore those possibilities of, well, why did we align? What's kind of the greater meaning of this? How can we sort of harness those higher level energies and anchor that in the here and now, so that it's a truly like divine experience within the material realm. Yeah, and we also have the Sun. So it feels like this person's going to be very clear with their intentions. They're not going to want to miss the opportunity to connect with you more deeply or establish something more long term. This is not going to be somebody that hesitates. This is not going to, it's almost kind of like any fears that they may have just sort of evaporate within kind of the certainty. It's like an intensity, but it's also the certainty of like, yeah, this feels right. This feels like the kind of connection that I've wanted to align with. And it feels like it also comes in, again, like work that you both needed to do in your lives to like align with a certain version of yourselves, that other like insecurities have been put to rest. Other kind of like energies of searching, even though this person's giving like the energy of a wanderlust, a searching sort of an energy, they've become comfortable enough with that process, or they've just sort of equated it with like part of their personality, that you may be somebody that just sort of stills that within them. Yeah, they still want to travel. Yeah, they still want to learn things. Yeah, they still want to like drink in life to the fullest, but there's a sense of almost like, you're the person I want to do that with. You're that place where it's kind of like, now I lay these roots, and then there's a blossoming from that point forward. And so again, this may be very different from people that you've dealt with in the past that were like hot and cold. They didn't know what they wanted. You thought it would be one thing with them, and then, it became something else. This is something that feels like very consistently, you're going to get to know one another's patterns, but it's a sense of almost like you develop like a rhythm with one another that really speaks to this energy of like, I can maintain my individuality. We can each maintain our individuality, but then there's this very kind of conscious building of that us sort of bond with one another. Something that's again going to help to like shed light for you and for this person, that you've taken the right steps to kind of align with whatever the nature of like your experiences are in the here and now, whatever else you have going on in your life in the here and now. This is that person that resonates with the current version of you, and it's someone you can build forward with into a future where, yeah, with all relationships, there's compromises, there's sacrifices, there's growing pains, but it's like you're both headed in the right direction, which gives a lot of clarity. It gives a lot of reassurance that this is a partnership that can last. This is something that is good for the two of you. This is like that higher level energy. That's something in accordance with one's highest good in the here and now. We also have the Nine of Pentacles. So another confirmation, a good kind of clue or indicator. This person is single right now. Hopefully you are single right now, because this is the energy of like two single people moving forward, where there are not the obstacles or barriers of like third party interference. That may be something very different for some of you from what you've dealt with before. This person, it feels like, is very just sort of, they're tucked into their routine, or they're in a place of like feeling good with where they're at in their life. They may not have achieved all of their goals. They may still be working on things. They may still be very curious about what the future holds, but this is somebody who feels good about themselves. They feel, good about sort of where they are and where they're headed. So they don't bring all that extra baggage, all that extra uncertainty. This is somebody that's not going to make you feel like an option. They're not going to be juggling you. They're not going to run off and return to some ex, or have somebody on the side. This is something where there's devotion. There's like undivided attention to the building of this situation with you. And so again, it feels like a very reciprocal or matched energy. It's like the kind of thing that you have been seeking in others. Even if you've been trying to keep your options open, or this person has been trying to like keep their options open, it feels like at the time you intersect with one another, there's like nobody special in either of your lives. There's nobody significant. It's not like, I've got talking stages with 10 people, but you feel different, so let me close out on all the others. No, this is something where, you're kind of like, if love finds me, it finds me. If I connect with someone, I connect with someone, but it's not kind of like spending that energy amongst many different sources or many different people. So again, a confirmation that's kind of crucial, it feels like, to be able to identify and kind of distinguish this person from other people that you might meet, or other people that might even, have come into your life recently. Yeah, and we have the stars. So again, this is something that is like a fated connection. This is something that is like a reward for all of that heavy lifting and hard work, the choices that the two of you have made up to this point in order to understand cycles within your lives, close out of those things, or to strive for something better. The universe has responded to that. It has acknowledged your efforts, your belief that there's something better, there's something more than this, there's something more than you've experienced in the past, and to even just keep like an open mind and an open heart, it feels like has allowed the two of you to not just step into a new cycle of your life in general, but to really be very aware, where you're picking up on one another's signals. You're trusting enough in kind of the pathway forward that creates this sort of clear skies ahead kind of energy for the two of you, where there are going to be like confirmations within this situation that just sort of let you know, like both of you know, this is right, more than just it feels right in the here and now, but something like deep within, something very transcendent, says yes to the experience of this moving forward. And we also have the Emperor. Yeah, so it feels like the two of you are in this very empowered energy. You're in a balanced energy. You're taking care of business. You're moving in the direction of prosperous new starts. This is something that brings a very dependable, a very reliable energy. These are two people who have, kind of taken charge of their own lives, taken charge of their own healing, taken charge of kind of like what the future has to hold for them. So this person brings a lot to the table. They are able to receive what you bring to the table. There's a lot of kind of mutual respect and reciprocity within this energy. I'm also drawn to the idea of Emperor and kind of like springtime energy. So for some of you, because this person is very near, to you, it can be within the next couple of months that you connect with them. And it's something that, kind of like coming full circle, like within a year after you meet this person, it's going to be very, for some of you, you're going to be engaged or you're going to be married. For some of you, it's kind of like, okay, I've met this individual and now I'm certain this is like the person that I want to be with. It's that way for them. It's kind of like, it's leadership energy. It's very proactive energy, very determined energy, very certain energy of consistency, of steps forward, not anything that comes in and kind of like Knight of Wands energy, where it's just impulsive, it's fast moving, it's all just based on chemistry. Like, yeah, there's fire energy here within the Emperor, so it'll have those kind of like yummy romantic vibes to it, but there's also a sense of like very practically it moves forward. This person gives on a lot of levels. They're able to receive on a lot of levels. So it feels like it's something that will again provide a lot of reassurance for the two of you that you've made the right choices to arrive to wherever you are at in both of your lives. And then as far as what develops between the two of you, it feels like there'll be a lot of consistent reassurance that you each need, that like, yeah, this is a good decision to move forward with. Yeah, it's a good decision to keep choosing one another. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. Like or comment to claim these energies. Subscribe to my channel if you would like to see more content that I put out here. Don't forget to hit the bell button to get notifications every time I post a new video. And if you would like to book a personal reading with me, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link for that below. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.